Merry meet everyone, and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I feel like I can't see you guys. My glasses are dirty. I am your Wednesday host, Houston, and this week we are talking about our magical influences on our paths and kind of like the melting pot of what we call our paths, what we meld together to make our particular path. Or the melding of paths, or the blending of paths. I was out of town until yesterday, and I've been catching up on sleep today. Today's Tuesday. I'll be posting this tomorrow, um, since Wednesday and all that jazz. So unfortunately, I did not see Ava and Rhiannon's video, and I apologize for that. So I'm going to go off and do my own thing and kind of explain my path and what I do and how I've got to where I am. So let's get started. I've been studying paganism for 8 years. It'll be 9 years, January. I started around my birthday. I thought that'd be a perfect time to, I started like officially studying on my birthday. I did like a dedication to the craft on my birthday, so I kind of do that every year, depending on what I'm working on this year. You do have to excuse me. The medication, some of the medication I take gives me perps, so I apologize. But I've been studying for 8 years, almost 9, coming up on my birthday. And it's been one hell of a ride, I have to say. And I hope it continues to be an exciting path. For me, I started off in Wicca. I started off with, I don't think I have my beginner books anymore. I started off with Wicca 101, and I wasn't alone. I started with a group of friends back home, and I kind of expanded. I did more research, and I branched off further than what they did. They were all into the ritual and hearsay of Wicca, and it just didn't flow with me. So from there, I went to label straight up paganism, or pagan. And in the pagan title, I found many aspects of shamanism that I love and I still use to this day. So shamanism is a big influence on my path. Working with meditation, working with spirits, which that could be a whole nother spiritual path, is just working with spirits alone, working with your guides, your spirit animals, your spiritual team, deities, ancestors, things like that. I may not do something formal every day, but I do have, I do talk to them every day, and I get responses. So those are two big things that influence my path. Another big couple things, what drew me to this path to begin with, and I think I'm going to go around in circles tonight, and for that I do apologize. Just try to keep up with me. Was the art of divination and healing. Both of those two things were a big key factor in me starting to study paganism and magic and witchcraft and all that jazz. I remember when I was little, like kindergarten, I would have dreams of the next day and exactly what I would wear and how the day would play out. And I would go to my daycare and it would play out that way, and it would stop right before I go home. So I didn't know anything that would happen right before I went, right before my mom came and picked me up, So I kind of knew what was going on, So it was weird. It was kind of like I didn't know if I was dreaming or if I was because it happened so often, I didn't know if I was dreaming or if it was I was awake. So that happened to me a lot when I was little. It kind of that kind of left me when I got older. I don't do that much anymore. Not like where every night I was doing that. I think it was more like the anticipation of the next day, and that's kind of what threw me out there. Um, but what really set me onto the path is I was looking into it when I was 15 or 16 years old. I was looking into it, didn't really know much about it. I didn't really seriously study. I was just doing some research. And I saw that it was mostly being one with nature, certain paths of being one with nature and finding balance in oneself and aligning the body with energies that are outside the body and inside the body to make perfect, to help you regain your health. And at that time, my health was declining. I was coming at age of 17. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that was the deciding factor for me to start. I know it's kind of weird, but for me, that was like, you know what, I need to find something that calms me, that helps me get rid of stress, that helps me center myself, that helps me heal. Um, and so that's really what got me onto the path and what really made me start studying energetic healing, which is a big part of my path. I'm attuned to multiple different systems of energy healing, not just Reiki, but and another thing that I've always been interested in, and the thing that's always caught my eye when I was, since I started, was doing tarot and divination, psychic development, things like that. They caught my interest really early um, when I was reading through the books of beginner, the basic beginner books, divination practices, and healing practices, and protection. Those three things really caught my eye and have stuck with me throughout my entire practice. I feel like I'm losing my voice. Um, so yeah, I love experimenting with new different divination techniques. I think one of my favorites, of course, are the tarot and the runes. That's what I read. Not runes. I don't read with runes. Those just haven't called out to me. Tarot and oracle. Sorry, I guess I can't enunciate. Um, those two things I read professionally, and professionally, locally, in person, or online. If people want stuff online, I'm up for send me a reading. I can send you a reading. But and that has expanded me into so many other different things as well. Where I'm not, I did a class. I did actually a huge course to be certified through a British college and tarot, be a certified tarot reader through them. I'm a certified angel therapist. I'm a certified psychic development therapist, psychic development teacher, I guess you could say. Um, and that's not really, doesn't really hold much standing, in my opinion. It's just a title, and I have stacks of them of what I've taken and certificates that I've received. Um, so my craft really goes from divination practices. I do divination all the time. Um, I try to do it at least a couple times a day, just to keep the energy going and to experiment with new cards. I'm always getting new cards. For those who know me, I'm always getting new books about spiritual and occult theories and things like that. I would show you my room, but it's just a complete mess. I have tons of books. My whole bookshelf is full, and I have books in front of my altar. I have books on my dresser. I have books everywhere, and they range from like teenage Wicca. I do have some teenage spell books that are like for teens. Some of those are Silver Raven Wolf's books, and then I also have some more of the advanced stuff, as in ceremonial magic, traditional witchcraft, hoodoo, powwow, um, a lot of books on healing, a lot of books and theories on chaos magic, um, which I find extremely interesting, which I think is what I'm being called to, as a chaos practitioner. Um, I don't like the word magician, and I'm going out of the phase of the word witch, so I like to tend to myself as the wizard. Um, I like to think of myself as the title of the wizard, not really the shaman, but the wizard, the one who's always studying and finding new things and experimenting with new things and seeing if it works, and if it doesn't, why didn't it work, and keeping all the logs and stuff, your magical workings. That's kind of what I'm working on and what I'm doing. So I'm trying, in my practice, I am encompassing a little bit of everything and experimenting and working with different um, religious systems in respect, with respect. I'm not going to, I work with, I don't know how to word it. It's late at night, I don't know how to word it. It's not really late, but I'm tired. Um, I work with, I work in many different cultural pantheons, and I do it all with respect. I would never um, look at another pantheon with disrespect because I don't have any feelings to them. All the pantheons and all the spirits and gods and goddesses and stuff out there and all the energies I look at with respect. That is one thing that I believe has got me really far in this in my personal practice, is learning to get over the fear. When I first started, learning to get over the fear and working with many different energies as I possibly can, and bringing all those in when needed, um, and working with them in a harmonious fashion. Um, so I'm actually working on a theory. I'm working on a more Western style use of a magical tool. It is of, I really don't want to get up and get it, but I'll get up and get it. So I'm working on a theory and practical uses of the Chinese and Japanese hand fan. Um, I know there are documented cases in Omyoji in Asian practices where the shrine maidens and the shrine deities see these fans as holy, um, and they use them as such. Um, and so I am working on seeing how I can use different types of fans. I have anything from wooden to stainless steel to bamboo to plastic, um, and to some that I'm not going to open because they're my grandmother's. And another reason why I'm wanted to start using fans is because my grandmother had a very, she passed this year, she had a very, she collected them, say it that way. And so when she passed, my parents were able, and everyone in my family heard, that I really just wanted her fans. Not all of them. I just wanted what they could give me. I knew I wouldn't get the huge, like 3 foot or 4 foot peacock feather fan. That didn't really bother me. I wanted fans that held significance to my grandmother. And when I went home over Thanksgiving this weekend, there was a whole pile of fans on my dresser. So when I go back for Christmas, I'm going to bring a little storage thing so they don't get damaged on the travel back, and bring them back with me. There's one that I see that's a Japanese style fan, not like this. It's almost like a smudging fan. You can think of like with feathers and stuff. Didn't even know she had it. And there's also like some that are like this big. They're very tiny, very very tiny. I gotta fix some of the plastic came off the fabric, but they're beautiful. And they're from all over the world. She traveled, and when she traveled, that was her memento to herself. She bought a fan from the gift shop. She brought, because some places were hot, and so she brought a fan, um, and then she hung them all up around her room, which I may do too. So, but that's something I'm working on now. So as you can see, that this is I've been doing this, working on them for a long time, way before my grandmother passed. I've been working on the uses of fans and magic, um, and how I can utilize the shape, the release of the fan, um, and how the swinging motion of the fan, and the bringer of wind to an extent, how I can use those energies and those practices in my works, experimenting. So that's kind of what my path is about, is experimentation, and that's just one of the many things that I've worked on and experimented with. Um, so now, as for, I don't want to say book recommendations, because I think we're going to talk about that later on in the season. So I'm not going to recommend any books as of right now. Um, keep tuned for a couple more weeks, and you will see my book recommendations. It's going to be a pretty long list, because I'm a book witch. If you didn't know, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I have a series called The Book Witch, which I need to get back on. But I'm a book witch, but that doesn't mean that I don't put stuff into practice. I study a lot on my downtime, and when I have energy, because with the Crohn's, and since it has flared up in the past couple months, it does leave me really tired, um, and doesn't really give me the energy to do stuff other than to sit down and either read, um, or watch something, or rest. It doesn't really give me a lot of energy to go out and do stuff, which I know is probably an excuse. I probably should push past it. Maybe that's something I should work on, but whatever. Um, if you have any questions, or if you, or if I wasn't clear, because I know tonight was not the clearest that I could have been on my influences of my path. I don't have one particular influence that I draw upon. Everything is from experiences that I've experienced, and books that I've read, and that I've felt that those things clicked with me, to working with different spiritual beings. So I don't really have any particular one set, what I draw from. I draw from a little bit of everything, which is I find it works for me fantastically. I remember one year I started studying Druidry. I didn't go as far as to, me personally, I didn't, I felt called to it. And then reading through some of the stuff, really interesting, and I have a couple books on it. Just because I'm still fascinated with, I was extremely fascinated at the time with Merlin, and I still am. And, he was a druid, and so I wanted to kind of step into his shoes, and so I started studying modern neo-druidism. And a lot of the stuff really did click with me. A lot of the stuff I use is just, I haven't gone through, kind of like getting, like, almost like I guess it would be kind of like a clergy. You would become part of the Druid order, which, if you want to know more about that, you could talk to Natalie, because she said in her past video that she's part of the Druid order, Order of the Druid, or something like that. I really don't know what it's called, unfortunately. But that does sound really cool, actually. But yeah, my path comes from a lot of different things. And it's going to be evolving as ever much as I do. So, if you have any questions, I know this is kind of a long video, mostly because I have enough alpha. Mostly because me being a dum-dum, I forgot that I had to do a video for tomorrow and pushed it off the last minute. And just couldn't think straight. That's usually what happens. So, trying to think of something that I am working on now. I am working on a new healing system. I'm working on Sikkim, the 7 facets of Sikkim, which is from what I understand, because the guidebook that I got from it, from the place that I usually get a lot of my attunements from, was kind of vague and repetitive, which I have to go on and do some more research about it. I'm not finished at all. I did finish my master's, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to, use it, because a lot of the information was vague, and it used a lot of the symbols that I already knew from my Reiki practice. So there is that. I am also currently working on, other than the fan, working on doing readings and incorporating more clairvoyance, more mediumistic abilities, I guess you could say. So I would be sitting, so I can't say would be. So when I usually do a reading, it's I like to have it one-on-one, or one with whoever. If they feel comfortable bringing someone else, that's totally fine. That doesn't bother me at all. Now, if we're out at a random location or they ask us to meet at someone's house, I don't go by myself, of course. I have someone that comes with me for safety reasons. And I think that's fair. But usually when I do my readings, I don't do them at my house yet. I'll do them at like a coffee shop or a bookstore or at my job. If I guess I won't be able to do that anymore because we don't close till 6, and that's kind of late to be doing a reading on the weekends. But usually what I do is I have them sit, in front of me, and we talk. Not about what the issue is, talk and just get them comfortable. It's really weird to go into a reading and feel that uncomfortable energy. I don't want to know what the issue is, other than, let's say you're going to say it's like, what you want to know is a relationship oriented, or it's goal oriented, or it's, money or business or personal life, or need some guidance. That's all I want to know. And then I'll shuffle the cards. And I think this is different for everybody. But I just don't like for them to start talking a lot about their problems and about, what they want guidance for. I usually want the cards and the spirits that I call in, my guardians and their guardians, to speak for themselves. And I don't want any bias, and it's kind of hard to do as a reader. But I'm getting super off topic. But what I want to do with that is to be able to bring in more of my guides and their guides, and talk through me while I'm doing the tarot reading or just a clairvoyant reading. So I think that is it. I don't think there's anything else. Well, there is one thing. Also, another thing that ties really big into my practice, and I have talked about, I think 2 seasons ago, was spirit keeping. Spirit keeping is Mine just went blank. Spirit keeping is a way of bringing spirits to you that want to help you, and you help them in return. So I have a couple vessels that contain links to contact the spirits that are linked to the stones or vessels or rings or whatever, and I work with them, and they work with me. It's more of an equal exchange. They're not bound to anything. They're not in the stone. They're not in the vessel. They're in their own, their own plane, their own astral world. It's kind of like the vessel is like a cell phone with their number to it. If I need to hold on to it and concentrate to feel their energy, that's kind of like me calling them and them answering, saying hello. If you want to know more about spirit keeping, I'll post a link to Creepy Hollows. That's the best encyclopedia I know of, down below in the information box. So with all that information in 26 minutes later, those are some of my biggest influences on my practice. I hope you guys enjoyed. If so, or if not, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and we'll have an awesome discussion. Until next week, many blessings.